Hey guys, this is Game Freak 98298 of Total Pwnage Incorporated, and welcome to another episode of Total Pwnage Editorials. So it has come to my attention that something almost miraculous has happened very recently. At least it would have been miraculous had the person it happened to learned a lesson, possibly the most important lesson she could have possibly learned for herself as a person in her position. But she didn't, and I need to make at least a bit of an effort to shine light on this problem. A lot of you know Brianna Wu and her position on #Gamergate, and honestly, it's a tragic one, in my opinion. Mind you, it's a tragedy she brought onto herself, but a tragedy nonetheless. Basically, Wu is a game dev with her own studio called Giant Space Cat. They have a single game to their name so far called Revolution 60. That's for another video though. I will talk about it a little bit at the end of this video. But anyways, the whole thing started with her sharing memes basically mocking the movement of Gamergate, and since then, it's been a long history of claiming to have been sent death threats, serious enough that the FBI had to evacuate her family, claiming she's been harassed nonstop, going so far as to start slander topics about herself, and being caught time and time again milking #Gamergate harassment claims for everything they're worth. Almost every time she gets a quote-unquote threat from someone in the Gamergate community, she uses it to either garner attention for herself or her game, or even begging people to donate to her Patreon. I actually have a video written up for this already, so I'm not going to talk about her compulsive lying in this video. But I have to bring up the problem at least a little bit if you're going to understand her relationship to the SJWs and anti-Gamergate movement in order to realize how profound of an event the incident that recently happened was. Basically, she relies on her popularity with these people for publicity as well as donations, and as such, she's constantly pandering to them. She constantly plays the victim to the point where if there's no situation for her to be the victim in at any point in time, she will literally make one up. And she insists that she's sick of the whole quote-unquote over-sexualization crap SJWs made up to bitch about video games, only to apply almost all of it to her own game. She goes so far as to shame video game creators for not having people of color in their games, only to have her game star for white girls, or to tell off companies for their unrealistic female bodies in their games. I'm sorry, but you'd have to amputate a few ribs and organs and replace your legs with toothpicks to get a body like Holiday's. It's such a sin too. There's nothing wrong with Wu putting any of these things in her game, just like there's nothing wrong with other game creators doing the same. But she's doing exactly the same as they are, and her social justice warrior fanbase had no problem with this hypocrisy at all. And I think Brianna was counting on the fact that as long as you're attacking white cis men, you can do whatever you want and you're still the hero. But that's a very, very strict condition, and Brianna learned that the hard way. Brianna recently got into a lot of hot water with her fan base for meeting Brad Wardell for coffee. In a tweet, she posted that she had a good time and she felt a truce had been called. For those unaware, the basic story I heard with Brad Wardell, besides him being the CEO of Stardock, a company that makes games as well as software, was that he was accused of sexually assaulting a woman by the name of Alexandra Masetta and was brought to court on these charges. I didn't look too far into the story, so all I know is that the charges were dismissed with prejudice against Miss Masetta, and that she ended up writing him an apology letter. And it might have ended there, except for Kotaku's quote-unquote journalist Ben Kuchera sticking his nose in everyone's business and not only reposting a story by Kate Cox about the accusations made against Wardell in great detail, and not only did he not ask for Wardell's opinion on the incident, but also refused to publish the counterclaims made by Wardell himself. Anyway, that incident made Wardell a very hated man to the SJWs, because even when the courts render their verdict, he's a white cis male, and any claims of sexual abuse are automatically true whether the law recognizes it or not. Especially when the same website has a history for accusing cis white men of assaulting or hating women at the drop of a hat. Despite Zoe Quinn flat out admitting she'd raped her boyfriend by her own definition, and Kotaku declaring it a non-issue. For more info on that, I'll link you to Internet Aristocrat's video about this sort of topic. God, I miss him. Anyway, Also, he's hated because he had the balls to call Zoe Quinn out on her bullshit. Which, remember, unless your noses are brown from kissing her ass, you hate women. And he's pro-Gamergate. So imagine their butthurt when Brianna Wu, one of the heads of the anti-Gamergate movement, had the audacity to meet with him for coffee and call a truce. She said she had a good time with someone who's pro-Gamergate, and that brought her a lot of shit from SJWs who switched their opinions so fast that Sonic's jealous. The comments she got were so aggressive and coming in so quickly that I'm almost impressed. It was amazing how fast these SJWs went from kissing her ass and calling her an inspiration to calling her all these names. It's nothing less than mind-blowing. It all happened so fast, like someone who took a bite of raw chicken and vomited their guts out a second later. It was instant, it was brutal, and it was overwhelming. Remember when I said I'm almost impressed? Well, you know, I am, but I'll tell you what I'm not. Surprised. I've had enough experience with social justice warriors to know that they're your very, very best friend until you do something they don't agree with. Then you're the scum of the earth, and even the stuff you agree on and fought together for means jack shit to them after that. And often, the reaction is so outrageously disproportionate to the offense, it's insane. Doesn't matter that you're a vegetarian and you rescue animals from the shelter and spend more money on them than you did your own house. If you eat even a tiny scrap of cheese, you're a slaughterer, and you're just as horrible as the people beating animals to death. Doesn't matter that you walk around wearing shirts that say shit like "fight the patriarchy" and mace every man who walks within 10 feet of you. The minute you say, "I'm sorry, but I don't think dyed armpit hair looks good," you're a Stepford wife agent of oppression working for the patriarchy. Doesn't matter that you petitioned your ass off over Ferguson and adopted an orphan child from Africa. Wouldn't even matter if you yourself are African American. The minute you say, "I don't find white people wearing dreadlocks offensive," you're the head of the KKK and you kill little black kittens in your spare time. Brianna Wu has spent so much time catering to the social justice warriors that she let her guard down because she has never been on the other end of their rage. And she paid dearly for it. And you know what? Had she realized that these people who turned on her the minute she socialized with someone on the other side and didn't go online calling him cis scum, a few who actually said, "Finally, we can stop pretending to like her now," are not the type of people she wants as fans, had she decided that she's not going to cater to their shit anymore, she could have completely turned everything around. Honestly, I'd like to think that had she realized her mistakes, came out, made an honest apology, and dropped the whole political thing, and focused on her games, over time I'd like to think that Gamergate would forgive her. Because we all make mistakes. No one is perfect, and if we held grudges against people, no matter what they do or how much they apologize, we'd be no better than the social justice warrior bullies we're trying to stop. We want people to join us, whereas the social justice warriors are quick to put their teammates in the doghouse permanently. But Brianna Wu has decided to do something else, and it breaks my heart. Not because I feel bad for her, but because it just goes to show how fucking far she'll go to get back the friends that turned their back on her. She decided she was going to not only try to explain away her betrayal, quote unquote, and beg for forgiveness, but she also threw Wardell completely under the bus doing it. She didn't learn anything from this, and she will just keep attacking Gamergate and blaming them for everything, from her game not being as successful as she wanted it to be, to her feeling quote-unquote unwelcome in the gaming industry. I can only hope that the social justice warriors treat her the same way they treated every other person who has ever apologized to them, with disgust and accusations of quote-unquote mansplaining or whatever fucking type of quote-unquote splaining they can come up with. Confession time. I played Brianna Wu's game for myself. I have a review of it in the works as we speak, but I'm just going to come out and say it. I kind of liked it. Don't get me wrong, it certainly wasn't the best game I played, but I didn't hate it. Not even a little. Again, I'll go into detail about it later in my review video, but I did like it. And if Brianna wasn't getting on the way she is, I think more people would be saying that too. Even if it would be because she would be spending all the time that she spends now milking Gamergate for attention, working on making her game better instead. Instead of tearing other game companies down for doing things that she's also doing, she should be joining hands and defending things that aren't even offensive. Who cares if video games have unrealistic character body designs? I sure as shit— oh, wait. I forgot. I don't exist. Never mind. Brianna, I know you're probably not watching. I know you probably don't have time for me. But if by some chance you're watching, please, please hear me out. I know what you're doing. You're trying to people please. You're trying to get people to like you. You're trying to be a major figure in a specific group of people because you're probably scared that you'd be stuck as a minor figure in the other. You picked the easiest side. But sometimes the easiest decision isn't the right one. Look at what the social justice warrior cult has cost you. It's cost you your honesty. It's cost you your integrity. It's cost you your time and energy, constantly coming up with excuses and stories trying to appease them. But most tragically of all, it's cost you your freedom. They abandoned you. They tore you down. They attacked you. All over a cup of coffee. You said so yourself. You're battle-weary. Believe it or not, even though I'm a supporter of Gamergate, I know exactly how that feels. I know how it feels to be watched constantly by people who study and judge your every move, just waiting for you to fuck up so they can attack you like they've attacked so many people in the past. I know how it feels to have to hide your beliefs and lie about agreeing with something you don't just because you don't want to start a fight you know you can't win. I know what it feels like to be lectured for speaking your mind because your feelings about even the most minor things are always going to be quote-unquote problematic. Oh, how I despise that word to someone. But I got tired and I broke. And I can see that's exactly what's going to happen to you if you keep this up. You got what you deserve, Brianna. You demonized people over the smallest little things. And then the minute you stepped out of line, your supposed friends did the same to you. You deserved to be turned on by them after all the pandering you did to appease them, especially when it was always at the cost of someone else's feelings. But if you learn your lesson, there's something else you deserve. A second chance. And I know better than anyone that the social justice warriors will not give you that. But if you play your cards right, Gamergate just might. We're not a hate group. The social justice warriors are. The choice is up to you, Brianna. But if there's one thing I learned, it's this. If you have to buy your friends with lies and hidden opinions, you always get what you pay for. Guys, this is Game Freak 92928, and I will see you later.